Welcome back to our deep dive. Today, you've brought us some really fascinating sources centered around Hosea 4.3.
That's right.
And it touches on this connection between, well, us, our actions, and the state of the land, even its emotional state, maybe, plus ideas about modern stewardship.
Exactly. The core verse is quite striking, and the related materials explore its implications.
So our mission, if you will, is to unpack this ancient verse, Hosea 4.3, and see, how relevant it feels today. We've got the text, some discussion on the emotional language of creation, stewardship. It really kicks off with a big question for me right away. Can the land actually mourn?
Yeah, it's a powerful image, isn't it? That idea of the land experiencing sorrow. Hosea 4 verse 3 says, "Therefore the land mourns, and all who dwell in it languish.
Okay.
And also the beasts of the field and the birds of the heavens and even the fish of the sea are taken away."
Wow. That's comprehensive.
It really is. The scope is huge. It's not just human suffering. It's the whole created order feeling the impact.
And that specific word, mourns, applied to the land. It really makes you pause.
It does. It sort of invites us to think differently about our relationship with the world around us.
Yeah, because we get human emotion, obviously. We laugh, we cry, we sing, we express things.
Right. Sound in action.
And we can often see distress in animals, too, through their sounds or how they act, maybe even tears sometimes.
Changes in behavior, distress calls, things like that. We recognize that.
But one of the sources you shared pushes this further. It talks about this concept of, a language of emotion for the land itself. Could it communicate its state?
It's an interesting angle. The source contrasts, the sounds of a healthy, vibrant place. Bees buzzing, trees rustling, water flowing, birds singing.
The sounds of life.
Exactly, vibrant sounds. And it contrasts that with the signs of a suffering land, maybe silence where there should be life, or dryness, or even unnatural noises that signal something's wrong.
So it's less about the land having feelings like ours and more like its condition speaks, like it has a voice.
Precisely. Its state, whether rejoicing or, in this case, mourning, reflects its health, its vitality, or lack thereof. It's a way of reading the environment.
Which brings us right back to Hosea 4.3. Therefore the land mourns. Even if it's not literal weeping, the verse insists on this connection.
Yes, and the word therefore is key. It implies a cause.
Right, it's not random.
No, the mourning is presented as a direct consequence. The land's state is tied to the actions of its inhabitants.
Okay, so what's the cause then, according to Hosea? What makes the land mourn?
Well, the verse right before it, Hosea 4.2, lays it out pretty clearly. It says, "There is swearing, lying, murder, stealing, and committing adultery. They break all bounds, and bloodshed follows bloodshed."
So it's not about pollution or deforestation in the way we might think today.
Not directly, no. The focus here is squarely on moral and spiritual decay. It's about the breakdown of human relationships and faithfulness to God.
Dishonesty, violence, betrayal, these things.
Those actions, the text suggests, bring sorrow not just to God or other people, but somehow to the land itself.
The source called the land a kind of silent witness to all this wrongdoing.
It was created as a blessing, a place for life, but it ends up bearing the marks of human sinfulness. It highlights this deep interconnectedness.
It makes you think about the original intention back in Genesis.
Exactly, that very good state of creation. The earth was meant to be this joyful, thriving place for everything under God's rule.
And humanity had a role in that, right?
A specific role.
Yeah.
Stewardship. We were given this responsibility, this trust to care for creation, to cultivate it.
And that trust, it seems, wasn't just about gardening, was it? It extended to how we treated each other, too.
Absolutely. The source connects this idea. When people live in harmony with God, which includes living in harmony with each other, with justice, faithfulness, mercy, then the land itself tends to thrive.
So a healthy community, ethically speaking, might lead to a healthier land.
That's the picture painted. There's a mirroring effect suggested. The moral health of the inhabitants is reflected in the vitality of their environment.
Okay, so fast forward to today. How do we take this ancient idea and apply it now? It feels quite relevant.
It really does. And the source material stresses that this idea of stewardship, of caring for God's creation, isn't just for, environmental scientists or activists.
That's for everyone.
It's presented as a call for every believer. And it's broader than just recycling or planting trees, though those can be part of it.
How so?
It broadens stewardship to include how we treat one another, how we build our communities. Are we pursuing justice, mercy, truth?
So living faithfully towards God, loving Him, loving our neighbor, fulfilling His law, that itself is a form of stewardship.
That's the connection being made, because living that way promotes the kind of harmony that, according to this perspective, allows the land to flourish, to rejoice even.
So imagine a community really living that way,
Yeah.
justly, peacefully. The land around them might actually reflect that goodness, show abundance, vitality.
That's the ideal presented. The condition of the land becomes, in a way, a reflection of the righteousness or lack thereof of the people living on it.
That's a challenging thought. But is there hope in this? If the land is mourning because of our actions, can that be reversed?
Yes, absolutely. The sources emphasize that God's ultimate plan isn't abandonment or permanent destruction. It's restoration.
A renewal.
Exactly. Scripture speaks of a future renewed earth, where the curse of sin is lifted, where creation is liberated from decay, and everything rejoices together.
Okay, so there's a future hope. But what about now?
Well, that future hope informs our present calling. We're meant to live now in ways that reflect that coming restoration.
How do we do that?
By striving to bring healing where there's brokenness, sowing peace where there's conflict, walking in righteousness in our daily lives, being agents of that restoration, essentially.
So our lives, lived faithfully, can actually bring maybe moments of joy or health back to the land, even now, as we wait for the full restoration.
That's the beautiful implication. We can participate in that healing process,
Yeah.
anticipating the time when, as Scripture says, the whole earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord.
So wrapping this up then, Hosea 4.3 it's more than just an ancient lament.
Much more. It's both a warning and, I think, a profound reminder.
A reminder of that deep, intricate connection between what we do, how we live, and the well-being of everything around us, the whole creation.
Yeah. And that mourning of the land, it isn't necessarily the final word. It's a call.
A callback.
A call back to faithfulness, to justice, mercy, truth, the foundations of a healthy relationship with God, with each other, and consequently with the creation we inhabit.
So a final thought maybe for everyone listening.
Mm-hmm.
As you go about your week, maybe just notice the voice of the land around you. Not just the obvious environmental signs, perhaps.
Right, not just pollution levels or things like that.
But the overall feeling. Is there a sense of harmony, of health, of things working together well in your community, in your environment? Or is there a sense of disharmony, of languishing? And just maybe ponder, what might that be, reflecting about how we're living together? It's a connection definitely worth exploring further.
Definitely food for thought.